Welcome to Bunch Formation, your newest favorite college football show. I am Chris Vannini, and I have one question that's been on my mind all week.
What's up, Trevor?
I am David Ubben. And Chris, I got to know how many dogs you've already cloned. Before we get into a college football show, can we just touch on this briefly? Obviously, we knew the technology existed.
Yeah.
I don't believe you. Obviously, we knew the technology existed, but just casually like, oh yeah, I cloned my dog. I'm speechless, Chris. I'm curious what the price tag on something like that is. The market for something like this is a lot larger than I fear anyone would be willing to admit. But it feels a little dystopian, I got to tell you.
For anybody who doesn't know what David's talking about, that is Tom Brady apparently has cloned his dog. I didn't actually click on the story to read it.
Yeah, his dog died, but in his dog's dying days, they extracted its DNA, Jurassic Park style, and then basically cloned his dog so that he has a new dog that's, is basically a carbon copy of his old dog. Keep it away from Kirk Herbstreit. I'll tell you that right now.
Dino DNA. I have cloned 0 dogs. I have a lot of dogs. I currently have relatives of our various dogs in the house, cousins, uncles, and all that stuff. We keep track of the family trees and all that, but no cloning. No cloning.
Do you remember Dolly the sheep, Chris, when we were kids? I believe this is 1997.
Yes.
I think I was 10.
I do.
It felt like a very big moment in human history. And now Tom Brady's just walking his clone through. Well, I assume Tom Brady lives in LA. He's just walking it around Manhattan Beach or wherever he is.
So, you ever watch King of Queens? A show we mentioned.
I mean, sporadically. I'm okay with King of Queens. I don't love it, but it's pretty good.
I love it. There's not a single bad episode of King of Queens, but there's one I remember where Doug believes that his childhood dog is still alive, and it's like in its 20s or 30s or something like that. And it's because his parents would not tell him their dog died, and they just got another one and then kept doing it and kept up the lie to him that it was the same dog. So you don't need a clone. You can just do something like that. All right. And if you don't know if you didn't know what my intro was, what's up, Trevor? Bill O'Brien, the coach at Boston College, had a pretty fired up answer to a question this week about a message to the fans because the team is down. They're 1-8. They're not very good. And O'Brien was like, I'm not down. We're not down here. We're fighting. We're doing all this stuff. He's upset at this reporter who's always asking down questions. And as he finishes kind of ranting to this reporter, he turns to what I believe is just another local reporter to change the topic and opens with,
"What's up, Trevor?"
It was such a dramatic tone shift. Just the comedic timing. Like, if he was trying to be funny, it wouldn't be funny at all. But the fact that he's dead serious and just trying to shift the focus off of what I presume was probably an emotional, semi-regrettable rant, because I don't think it reflected well on him or the program. Just the unintentional comedy off the charts. They're already made "What's Up, Trevor" shirts that you can buy on some like BC outfitter. I don't know that this has the staying power of some of the other drops on the show, but for now, I've been laughing about it for 24 hours. So, what's up, Trevor, is the question of the week.
What is up, Trevor? We got a big show today. We've done the playoff ranking reaction show. It's already in your feeds on the audio. It's on the YouTube channel. We went live as the ranking show was going on, then kind of recapped it. You can see the whole thing on the YouTube channel under the live tab, but we also cut it for the audio on your podcast feed. So we don't need to talk about CFP rankings anymore. All of our takes are in that episode. We've got week 11 picks to make, some big games for playoff and conference implications. We've got a UCLA lawsuit around the Rose Bowl. LSU maybe settling down, and some other coaching news and nuggets to get into. What we don't have, I guess, right now is that no ESPN YouTube TV resolution yet. So if you have YouTube TV like me, still waiting. I don't know when that's going to end. I ended up logging into my parents' Xfinity account into the ESPN app. That's how I watched the ranking show last night. But David's living over here in cable world and having no problem.
Yeah, I'm back on Spectrum, and the cable companies have figured it out because so as part of, we bought a new house, obviously Spectrum like came with the house. And as part of the Spectrum deal, basically if you subscribe, they give you access to every streaming app, basically. If you are a subscriber, it's like if the streaming app exists, it comes with your package. Very good deal. So listen, we're golden over here.
Yes, that is what a lot of the deals have ended up with, and I imagine YouTube TV will end up something similar, but they just have to come to an agreement. So, well, we will see. But we can get into it now. If you haven't checked out the show notes, we've got links to stories we talk about. We've got timestamps if you want to jump around. Send all your feedback to bunchformationpod@gmail.com, including if you'd like to sponsor anything on this show. We have been talking to some people about potentially sponsoring some things. We are open. Please do that. We're Bunch Formation on all things social media. And please leave us a 5-star review and comment as we read everyone on this show. And we got one more, a new one from Fresh 4 Good Years on Apple Podcasts, who says, David and Chris are hands down the best option if you love the full landscape of college football. Great insight, not too serious, all the right qualities. They call it how it is, but leave room for discussion. Care about the G5. Great listen. Thank you, Fresh, for Fresh Good Years. I don't know if North Tech fans would agree. They still hate David.
It happens. It's all right.
All right. And with that, we'll get into the news of the week. And to do that, we get into the media scrum.
That's why I don't read the newspaper. Because it's garbage.
Pasadena, the city of Pasadena and the Rose Bowl are suing UCLA over the possibility that UCLA could move its home games to SoFi Stadium. This is a story that came out last week after we recorded. Didn't have time to get to it. So UCLA and the Rose Bowl have a lease until 2044. But UCLA's the lawsuit states that UCLA's outside legal counsel told the city and the Rose Bowl in October that the Bruins would stop playing games there, contending that UCLA leadership, lawmakers in Sacramento, and others had vetted and approved the decision. UCLA has said no decision has been made. UCLA's AD said in the spring that UCLA misses out on $15 to $25 million a year because that lease doesn't include club and suite revenue. It's 26 miles from campus. They're on pace for their lowest attendance since 1982. SoFi is a bit closer. It's like 13 miles away. And I had heard about this a couple of weeks ago. I didn't think much of it because someone had said, as you're kind of talking to people around the coaching search world, someone said, yeah, UCLA's been telling people they think they might move to SoFi. I was like, is that? And I looked into it. I was like, the lease goes until 2044. I don't know how you can do that. So this is kind of like a preemptive lawsuit here from UCLA to try to get out. Don't know where it's going to go. But David, as this podcast's foremost lover of the Rose Bowl, what do you think about it?
Well, missing those sunsets, man, is going to be something special. I hope they have sunsets, in the other parts of LA. SoFi's got those open sides that, we covered the national championship, Chris, where they literally had to stretcher people away because they were slipping on the floors and hitting their heads.
The TCU Georgia blowout game was at SoFi, and it was a downpour.
It was really bad
for days. And the stadium is kind of open on the sides. And so it was windy and water was blowing into the stadium. There was literally a breeze on the field, even though it's an indoor stadium. And people were slipping and all kinds of stuff. And it was a real mess there. But SoFi's in Inglewood.
Yeah, it's awesome. Ultimately, I'm curious how the club suite revenue goes because I don't think we're talking about the catering and all this stuff. So if you purchase a suite, if you're a donor for the year, $20 million, that's when we're talking about donations and getting access to the suite. So that just goes to the Rose Bowl. UCLA doesn't that's crazy.
I guess that's what it sounds like. I'm not familiar with the details.
Yeah,
of the
that
lease,
seems like a wild deal. That's a lot of money. I think there are sort of two sects of college football fans, and there's the people who can't imagine having a college football stadium on your campus, and those who can't imagine having it anywhere else. And you talk to people who went to Miami or went to UCLA or went to some of these other schools, the pits of the world that don't have on-campus stadiums, and it's just really? How does that work? And the answer is it works very poorly, and the students don't usually show up because it's very hard. But Chris, I'm sure the experience was the same for you. My freshman year, you live in the dorm, the football stadium's, a 15-minute walk. I lived on the very north edge of Mizzou's campus. Shout out to Mark Twain. And the stadium is on the very south end of campus, but it's like a 20-minute walk. It's a nice haul, but like you can get there very easily. Most people had cars. A lot of people didn't. But like this is a real lifestyle thing. And, moving it from 26 miles, Pasadena, like 26 miles in LA, you might as well be like having that's like an hour and a half in a lot of, ways. So like you're still not close, but like Pasadena and, LA, Westwood is really far. So I don't know. It seems like you should want to do everything you can to get it as close as possible, just as a student athlete experience or student experience. But
I understand everything about UCLA wanting to do that, from the location to simply it's a nicer stadium, better amenities, to the money you can make, to getting people to the game. It makes a lot of sense. Like, I totally understand why they want to. Legally, will they? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how you can break a lease, but people are breaking contracts all the time in college football. So I can't predict anything on that.
If you're missing out on that much revenue, whatever, this is very similar to like Florida State and Clemson running out of the ACC on a smaller scale. It might cost them $200 million, but the money you're going to make in the long run is probably worth it. So I don't know what it's going to cost them to get out of this, but if you're already missing out on that much, just out of like the club level revenue and suite level revenue, like that's a big deal.
And I can relate that here in Dallas because like they have the Cotton Bowl Stadium at the fairgrounds, and there's like a couple of football games there a year. Texas, Oklahoma. There's some FCS.
Play a couple soccer games there. There's the Dog Bowl, which Chris, you and I are familiar with.
You now have a women's soccer pro team that will play there, but they just put like hundreds of millions of dollars, the city did, to renovate the stadium and make it nicer because it was dumb. And the city of Pasadena and other people are putting money into the Rose Bowl to make it better as well. And if you're suddenly going to lose one of your biggest tenants, that could be a problem too. So interesting.
I think the difference there though too is like the Rose Bowl has a lot of history, but it's also like Pasadena is not close to anything. Like you're kind of out there. Like the Cotton Bowl, you're basically in downtown Dallas. You're right outside of downtown.
Yeah.
So it's just different.
So interesting story. Something to keep an eye on. We will see. Elsewhere among schools that have open coaching jobs, LSU has a new president, Wade Roos from McNeese State. And he immediately made interim AD Verge Osbury the full-time AD, or at least temporarily the full-time AD. It sounded like he said Wednesday.
Temporarily a non-interim, is that right?
He said Wednesday he's removing the interim tag, but like it may not be permanent, so it's kind of weird. Osbury is someone. He's been at LSU for like 25 years. He played there. Everybody at the school knows him. He's kind of been someone there for a long time. He was also he was also accused of basically mishandling some Title IX stuff with sexual assault allegations back 5 to 7 years ago. Yeah, during that whole thing, that he didn't properly handle some information he got in various things. This president was asked about it, basically said he sounded like he didn't really know about that, which I don't. But it feels like LSU is very much trying to get the main people in place now to start moving toward a coaching search. And so things have settled a bit. They have a full-time president. They have a full-time-ish AD. And I have a story up in the Athletic on Wednesday, kind of a coaching carousel, news and notes and nuggets and interesting things. And one of the things was I asked a couple of agents, what do you think of the whole LSU thing? What do you think of the governor saying on Pat McAfee that we're going to do contracts differently and all this stuff? And the agents were like, nah, I don't buy it. I don't think that's actually going to be the case. They don't believe the governor is going to be that involved. And they said, one told me, quote, it'll be a centralized search with Verge. I expect it to operate like anybody else would with that kind of job. I don't think there's public pressure constraining it. I would expect it to be at market. So LSU may have settled down. How does it look to you?
If there's one program that could afford to hire a coach below market, LSU would probably be on that list, right? You're going to have athletes. You're going to be able to recruit. Whatever money you don't spend on a coach, you can spend on your roster and your staff. So they're probably right in that. I think there's certainly a lot of pressure to get somebody that people are excited about. But I just think the floor for LSU's program is so high. Like it's hard to not be really good there. and it's pretty easy to be great there, it would seem. So I'm not too worried about it. I mean, this is going to it still feels a little bit messy to me, but I think they'll be fine. Ultimately, it's an attractive job for 1,000 billion different reasons, and that's going to bring solid candidates in and maybe get you a little bit of a discount.
It may end up being still a weird search because this is kind of a weird carousel, and if you have to get in a bidding war for Lane Kiffin or whatever, but people I talked to kind of outside it, they kind of downplayed how much of a mess that whole thing will be. They have an AD. You know, I talked to another AD who thinks it's ridiculous, who thinks the governor needs to stay in his lane, says people want to know who their boss is and they don't. And that's a very fair point. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with LSU. Two of those big things are filled. Now they go to a football coach. Elsewhere, some other coaching bits. There's been some kind of talk and rumors around the industry about Virginia Tech being pretty focused in on James Franklin potentially. I don't know if anything's going to happen imminently. There could be more jobs open. It's believed that Franklin kind of wants to see what else opens out there. But like our colleague Grace Rayner wrote a column a couple of weeks ago saying Virginia Tech should absolutely hire James Franklin. He's the perfect fit. And I agree. I've said it from the beginning. What he did at Penn State was take away that Northern Virginia, Hampton Roads, DMV recruiting for Penn State and done a really good job there. And that's exactly what Virginia Tech needs. I think he'd kill it there. I think he'd kill it at a lot of ACC schools, but it's unclear yet what Franklin's going to do. Any thoughts?
If I'm him, I might sit around and wait on another ACC school in spirit, Big Ten school in name to open up, a place that he's obviously familiar with. I'm curious what he would think about the Maryland job.
So remember, he used to be the head coach in waiting there back in the day. I've heard he has lots of poor feelings toward them over that. But
you're saying he's been the head coach in waiting a long time.
Yeah, and may not want to kind of do that, but I don't know. Just he's out there. We know he wants to get into coaching. In terms of like what open jobs could hire somebody first. Wouldn't like if you're hiring someone who's outside of coaching, Virginia Tech would be a place that could happen pretty quickly. Florida State just kind of explained in my story why they really, really, really want Mike Norvell to like just get to 7-5 and you're good. They don't have the money that a Big Ten or SEC school does, for one. They don't have as many giant historic boosters because it's a younger school. They just put hundreds of millions into facility renovations. So and you don't want to jump into a field where Florida's open and Auburn's open and Penn State's open. And so they're 4-4. They got NC State, Clemson, Virginia Tech, Florida left. Two of those schools have fired their coach. Clemson's not great. You know, if you get to 6-6, I don't know, but we'll talk about Florida State, Clemson here in a minute.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Colorado State, just some names I've heard around that job. Nick Rolovich, currently at Cal. Tim Plow, the head coach at UC Davis. Matt Lubick, former son of Sonny Lubick, Colorado State ties. Tim Skipper, currently at UCLA, former coach at Colorado State. And Tony Alford, former running back there. Names that are kind of expected and have been since that job opened, but they're kind of moving slow as well. They haven't felt the need to hurry, but if I heard some of that there.
If you rule out what the program has done on the field, Colorado State, top 5 G5 job.
I mean, I talked to some people earlier in the week who think it's a better job than Oregon State. Now, I don't know about that necessarily. I think they're pretty close. Oregon State.
There's something to be said for trajectory, though. I think you have to deal with Oregon State wrestling with the reality of coming down from the artist formerly known as the Pac-12 versus Colorado State. It's like they're pretty much where they've been, but like slightly better and then more playoff access. I think the optimism and the excitement there for fans, you know, your 4-digit boosters to if they have 7-digit boosters, your people are going to be excited versus Oregon State. You know, your alum just left. He's not doing well. You're in the middle of a pretty ugly season. You're still in this stupid 2-team Pac-12 situation that's going to be changed next year, obviously. But I think there's still some grappling there that we'll see what that means in 20 years. But for now, I think definitely Colorado State better than Oregon State.
something else I wrote about. Dabo Sweeney at Clemson, it's not going well. They're 3-5. He kind of half joked after the Duke loss that maybe they should fire him. So I just kind of like asked around and looked into it, and like there are people who wonder if like a change of scenery would be better for everybody. Now you can't fire Dabo. His buyout is $60 million with no offset. You're not doing that. But the cost for him to leave is only like $4 million. And if you're maybe another ACC school or a Big 12 school or whatever opens up, like, is it worth kicking the tires on him? Like,
Yes.
that's one thought.
Yes. Yes.
The other thing though is that people also don't think he's going to want to leave. That he is very prideful and stubborn, and that he's not going to go out like this, which may be his worst season. And he said, the other day, like, I got to get back to my instincts. I'm going to fix this. Doesn't seem like he's interested in leaving, but like I'd make the call if I'm someone who's looking for a coach.
Yeah, I mean, he's a little bit, not that it's going to go this way, but he feels a little bit like Mike Gundy like 5 years ago, where Mike Gundy is out at Oklahoma State, but because of the trajectory of the program, and he's had not the greatest 3 or 4 years on the field or off the field, there's not going to be that much of a market for his services. But Dabo hasn't really done that, and yes, it's not where it's been, but I think the market, whether it will or won't be robust, it should be. I think if I was anyone with a coaching opening, I would be very, very intrigued at bringing Dabo in.
So again, probably not going to happen, but that's what it would cost, which is honestly not that much. I think it would cost almost as much to hire Jeff Traylor out of UTSA. So there's that. And in terms of general,
I think we can all agree, Chris, $5 million, not that much money, right?
In terms of coaching searches in general, like things are moving slowly at most places. It's still only early November. Nobody's really doing formal interviews yet. If it's somebody still in coaching, I mean, if they're out of coaching, you got the time in the world to do it. But it's a lot of agents talking a lot back and forth. Maybe you have an informal call where the AD just calls the coach and they talk for a minute, and it's not a formal thing. That's where things are at. The next couple of weeks is when it'll really start to speed up. But that's where things are at. Nothing's like, there's not much really like shaking and moving like, oh, this is about to happen anytime soon, unless it's somebody who's not in coaching. Okay. And with that, we're going to move into the segment where someone's got something to say and they want to get it off their chest. We call it the heat check.
Analytics, throw them in the garbage.
And this one's me, and it's about paper tickets. I think sports need to bring back paper tickets. Not necessarily the only way to get into the game, but making it easily available for people to get them if they want them. I went to an NBA game a couple weeks ago, and it's just like you get the ticket on your phone and they all look the same, and you swipe it and it's whatever. It's boring. We've talked on the show about the face scanning tickets that like Florida and some other places have. And I just think like you want that like keepsake, because the World Series just wrapped up. And I've got something here in my office. David, if you can see this, it's a World Series ticket from 1935. The Detroit Tigers and the Chicago Cubs. My grandpa gave this to me a long time ago, and I always think it's so cool. And I have almost every sports ticket I've ever gotten in my life. Like
I have a bunch of mine. I had them mounted, but I don't have it anymore.
So like a year or two ago, I put them all into a binder and like slid them in like cards and stuff like that. And like we hit the 10-year anniversary of Trouble with the Snap, Michigan State. I've got the game ticket to that because I was there. And I just feel like we're missing out on these opportunities to create keepsakes. Like there are some places, I think maybe the Super Bowl does it, where like after the fact you can get a commemorative ticket or whatever. But like I want to bring back I feel like there's an untapped market here for someone to just be like, yeah, we'll just create paper tickets for you. What do you think about paper tickets?
How do you feel about the concept of printing out tickets?
So this happened
I
once
hate
in
it,
20
just for the record.
Yeah, I hate it. In 2014, my brother and I went to the Michigan State game. We got there early, parked, walked around for a while, and getting ready to head to the stadium. And I looked, I was like, oh man, I can't find the ticket I had that we had printed off. Like, crap, what are we going to do? And then realized, oh, let's go to the library and print it off again.
There you
And
go.
that's what we did. And we got in the game and it was fine. So like the digital ticket or the printing ticket, like it saves you from that. Oh no, I lost my ticket and you're screwed. Like that's
What if you
obviously
lose your phone,
a
though?
problem. Well, there you go. That's what the face
Yeah.
scanning is for, I guess, that we're doing.
Yeah, yes. What if you suffer a facial injury in pregame?
I don't know, but like in a time when like collectibles are such a huge thing, like I'm kind of surprised we're not doing this more. Like there's not some Ticketmaster doesn't have some deal with every single team where they have like a generic ticket for every game that's designed, and then after the fact, fans can pay $10 extra or whatever and get their ticket in paper form. Like
I don't like the
wouldn't that
after
be
the fact.
cool?
I like having the option. I don't know why we can't have the option. It's like just put a barcode on the ticket, and if you want to, if you want to go get a real ticket or whatever, you can get it and have it scanned and with the QR code. I mean, it's the same thing like the airlines, right? Like I don't print out any tickets when I fly, but some people do, and you can do whatever you want. I mean, I like it. Some of my tickets, like I still have the ticket from when I went and saw Michael Jordan when I was like 13.
That's
the first
awesome.
time. Yeah, it is awesome.
Like
I also have a
imagine
commemorative T-shirt from that game, and I have like a U.S. Open ticket that's signed by Phil Mickelson, which hasn't aged great, but it was still cool at the moment. Like all these things, like I have all this stuff, a bunch of like Arkansas basketball and football tickets from back in the day, and so there's something to be said for that. But I wonder if some of that is like, if you're Gen Z or Gen Alpha that's growing up in this era where that's just not a thing, do you care that you've been missing out on that? I don't know.
So that's I've wondered that, like, if what is the commemorative thing if you're a young person who goes to some
selfies.
event?
Selfies. I've long felt like selfies are actually better than an autograph, but it's like it's like a frozen moment in time.
But I mean, like, just like, yes, in terms of getting a picture with an athlete or something, but even just like, oh, I was at that game. What do you have from that game? I have the video I took on my phone of something. And that's digital currency that you post on TikTok and you get a bunch of feedback. I recorded a video of me storming the field at SMU when they beat Miami. I was just kind of going out with everybody, obviously, when they won. But you know
sure,
what,
Chris, sure.
But you know what
Noted
SMU
SMU homer, Chris Vannini, yeah.
But you know what SMU's doing? The remainder of that goalpost that was torn down, they have like chopped it up, and Lashley's signing it, and you can auction and buy it. Part of it, like that's a good commemorative thing. Like.
One of my great regrets, actually, Chris, is I had a chunk of, I think I told you this, I had a chunk of the goalpost. I was at Mizzou. They beat Nebraska. I want to say it was 2000. It was a butt kicking. I want to say it was the 2006 or 2007 season. So people rush the field. They take the goalpost to downtown Columbia. Suddenly, like saws appear. They're sawing off things. I had a good chunk of the goalpost, which was awesome. And then I just moved a ton. You know how you do in your early 20s. And at some point, it got lost. I no longer have it. I'm very sad.
Oh man.
Like a piece of goalpost on the shelf would be like great. So
that is
at this point, like
so I've got something like that. So speaking of stadiums on campus, the first time I go to Michigan State, my point of like direction, there used to be a little abandoned power plant with a big smokestack right next to the Michigan State stadium. And that would be that's where the stadium is. So I can like triangulate where I am on campus through that. And then I think my senior year or sometime later, they tore it down. But you could, for like $5, buy a brick from the smokestack.
That's
and
pretty
I've got one. I've got one, and it's over back behind my thing there. So
did
like,
they check it for radiation?
I don't know, but I did get a certificate of authenticity or whatever. But like, I don't know, like we live in this commemorative world. The Athletics got its own commemorative vertical website, and everybody's turning everything into something. And I'm just like, how are tickets not there? Like, maybe people just don't care about those tickets anymore, and they just view them like airlines tickets. But not only do I have like every paper ticket from a sport I've went to, I have every movie ticket stub since like 2005 that I've gone to. I just always stuffed them into a thing, and now
I think that'd be like 8
turned
tickets
that into
for
a
me,
binder.
So no.
Oh my God. I've got pages and pages, like all the way back to like the first Iron Man.
At some point in college, we crossed the Rubicon where I just felt like it was no longer fiscally responsible to go to movies like the number of movies I've seen in the theater. I mean, it has to be like an experiential movie, and it has to be like I really, really want to see it. Like
you're gonna sound like Ari Wasserman here.
Well, like I'm talking about like it wasn't good, but like I'm a big Matrix guy. It's like the new Matrix. I went and saw that. I went and saw
Okay.
like Dune. It's like it's
What-
gonna to get me in a theater. You're gonna have to do a lot just because like paying $15 or whatever to see a movie for 2 hours. It seems crazy to me. I'd rather just like wait until it's on.
Yeah, I don't
Netflix or
know. I
whatever.
mean, I always like saved a bunch of stuff like that when I was growing up, and at some point it goes from it crosses the line from hoarding to collecting, and it's vintage or whatever. But I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about paper tickets. If anybody has their own thoughts, please let us know in the comments or email bunchformation.
I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you on the paper tickets.
Like
I
this,
like
like
part
this
of it
is
is similar
like
to the theater
thing,
thing, Chris. I don't go to sporting events as a fan that much anymore, so I'll keep credentials for like memorable games and stuff.
yes,
but
which I do
I'm
have.
trying to
You can see
remember
behind me, like those are all a bunch of credentials from games. I
Yeah.
kept that up. Like those are our personal keepsakes, but we are
Yeah.
reporters. Most normal fans don't get that when they go to the game. Like I love that I
Yeah.
can save all of these. I have one from
Yeah.
the last Bedlam game. I'd
Mhm.
love for fans to be able to have something like that. And as the World Series was going on, and I saw this, 1935 ticket, I was just like, this is so cool, and I would love to have this for more things. But I don't know, just want to get
Yeah.
that off my chest. So
Well, I don't remember the last time I went to a sporting event as a fan. Some of that is just having kids in general. It's been
yes.
Oh, I know what it was actually. Well, I didn't technically go to the game, but it would have been the World Baseball Classic like 2 years ago, which is a whole other story that we don't need to get into. Let's keep it moving, Chris.
Okay. All right. And with that, we'll talk about the actual college football now. We'll get into the game previews.
This is for all the Tostitos.
An update on our records. I got destroyed last week. David went 4-5.
It's happening.
I went 1-8. My worst
Yeah.
week of the season by far. David is now 51-43-2. I am 46-48-2. So a little bit of space there, but there's time to make up for this. Reminder, the loser will have to Uber Eats food from another restaurant to a restaurant that you're at. Inspired by David at last year's coaching convention.
Again, in context, a humanitarian act, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway.
All right. First game of the weekend. The biggest one of the weekend. Big 12 game of the week. National game of the week. Number 7, BYU at number 8, Texas Tech. Noon Eastern, ABC. Texas Tech is a 10.5 point favorite. That's a lot of points at home against an undefeated team. David, your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are like the number is big, but it's screaming at you to take BYU. And Texas Tech ultimately, it's easy to forget. For one, they were juggling quarterbacks against Utah and still beat the heck out of them. The loss to Arizona State came with Will Hammond there, but their average point differential in games other than that Arizona State game, the other 8 games they've played, it's like I think it's 34.6 points. They're beating the heck out of teams. And Baron Morton will be playing. They got to keep him healthy. He's kind of been in and out of the raw. I've lost track of what injuries he is nursing at this point. It feels like he's got a shoulder thing, a leg thing. It's hard to say. But ultimately, I like Texas Tech here to win and win big. We've been waiting for somebody, not to humble BYU, but just like you watch BYU and listen, going 8-0 is impressive, but like they are living a blessed life. Like, that's not the 7th best team in the country, but Texas Tech might be a top 5 team overall. I think they prove it this week. Give me the Red Raiders big.
I think I'm going Texas Tech as well. Now, BYU, they haven't lost a game by more than 7 since I think sometime in 2023 when they weren't a good team. So, like, the last 2 years when BYU loses, they lose close. I think my biggest question is, can you block Texas Tech? It's the question everybody has because nobody in the Big 12 has a front like this. Utah might be close. In BYU, kind of handled it. They won that game eventually. Both teams here are also very good at taking care of the ball. So turnovers, a couple turnovers could be the difference in this game. I didn't realize until I looked this up. Jacob Rodriguez at Texas Tech, he has forced 7 fumbles this year because he had 2 last week against Kansas State. Really good.
And by the way, in honor of Cody Campbell, let's talk about pooling media rights very, very briefly. Because if that happens, then we could not have this stupid game be kicked off at noon. I hate this so much. You have
I don't
this is
understand
like
that.
this is like the biggest game in Lubbock in I don't know. It's like I think it's the first top 10 matchup since the
Crabtree?
Michael Crabtree Harrell game where they beat Texas and you have stunned Colt McCoy on the sidelines in that game. Like the drop Blake Gideon interception. Blake Gideon now, I believe he's the safeties coach for Texas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But like, how is this not at night? Like, if again, the pooling media rights is probably never going to happen for a million different reasons. But I like the idea in theory, antitrust and legality aside.
Well,
because then we could get games that make sense. The NFL schedules in such a masterful way. I think the idea of throwing these crap games on Thursday like they do is actually genius. But the Sunday night games, the Monday night games, the flex stuff, like the NFL knows what they're doing. And you had that 425 window last weekend where you got the Bills Chiefs and all that stuff. This game needs to be at night, and I hate that it's at noon. And pooling media rights, I have a hard time believing that this game gets thrown out there at noon. At least it's on over-the-air television because it deserves it.
so the biggest thing would be, so like the SEC being fully with ESPN, that's its case for fans, that they can set the general time frame for every game way ahead of schedule, and it's actually really nice and favorable to fans. That's when you have everything with one partner. The Big 12 is split between a bunch of people, and the night ABC game, you're not going to be surprised, is an SEC game. It's actually not all that. That's actually not all that great on paper. We'll get to it later in the previews here, but yeah,
the entire Big Ten over-the-year package, which consistently has terrible games that are on really big-time presentations. The NBC presentation, the CBS presentation is great, and the games are terrible.
Well, not this week. We'll get to that in a second. So, all right, so you're taking Texas Tech to cover. I'm taking Texas Tech to cover. I just think when Baron Morton has played, they have destroyed everybody, and he's playing. And they're a little banged up. They're not as efficient offensively as they have been, but I think Texas Tech at home gets it done in pretty big fashion. All right, Big Ten game of the week on CBS. So there you go, David. It's number 9 Oregon at number 20 Iowa. 3:30.
I'm excited about this game. I want to see this game, Chris. There you go.
CBS, a Big Ten game that David wants to see. Not only a Big Ten game, an Iowa game he wants to see.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I'm up for it.
Unfortunately, the over-under to this game is 40.5. And I think this is partly why. At kickoff, the temperature currently looks like it will be in the mid-40s with a 50% chance of rain. There was some talk it could be a snowy mix. It's a middle of the day game, so it's probably not going to be snow. But what do you think of this game?
I mean, I think it's going to be ugly. I mean, this will be a test, obviously, for Oregon. These are the most interesting Big Ten games. I didn't like, all the West Coast teams coming into the Big Ten. I hate the loss of regionality, but you get these sort of weird bowl game matchups on campus, and it hasn't really boded well for schools that aren't used to it. So Oregon going in there. They say it never rains at Austin Stadium, but it seems to rain at Kinnick and snow like a lot. So, I like Iowa in this one. I like them to get this thing uglied up. Physical game. I think Oregon probably wins, but 6.5. I'll take the Hawkeyes here.
So I was 1-3 in a row since the loss to Indiana, which they nearly won. Was a very close game, but. I was beaten up on Wisconsin, Penn State, and Minnesota. None of those teams any good offensively.
No.
I think Oregon is good, but even Oregon has not been so great the last couple of weeks, especially like the Wisconsin game. I know they played in a downpour, but like it's Wisconsin. They're terrible. I think Iowa did the worst possible thing you could do going into this game, by the way, and that was defensive coordinator Phil Parker calling Oregon a well-funded team. And you know what Dan Lanning thinks when people talk about the money that's being spent on their team. He gets a little fire in his belly. They get a little fired up. They play with a little bit of an edge. I'm going to go with Oregon to win and cover. I think we find out this team is as good as we think they are. I think Oregon will be able to score enough. and Iowa won't be able to in the passing game. So I'm going to go Oregon. But do you think Iowa covers? Do you think Iowa wins?
I think Iowa covers. I maybe put a little sprinkle on the money line there. But why do you think Oregon seems like the Mike Gundy comments were a little bit more provocative? Why do we think that there's still such a stigma in college football about like, oh, you've got the like even like you see it from Texas Tech fans a lot. Like anytime people want to talk about the money, they still like get offended, and it's like. So we're just supposed to like it's fine. You have money now. That's why people are coming to Lubbock. Oregon's a little bit different, but like I'm still I don't get the offense still to the stigma around money.
You don't get why people are upset, or you don't get why people get upset when people bring it up.
I think people need to just acknowledge that that's reality, and like if somebody calls you well funded and be like, yeah, our players get paid well, cool.
Well,
like,
exactly right. That's it. Like you can do that. It's legal. That's what you're supposed to do. It's like the same thing with the Dodgers. Like what it does is it's an implication that, hey, that player doesn't actually like your school. They're only there because they're paying.
But who cares? Like
I'm not saying that.
Who cares?
First of all, I'm not saying it's. I'm not saying it's true because it can be both things. Like, why can't?
Yeah,
it be
I mean,
both?
I just don't care how much they love my school or not. Like,
I love the job that pays me the most. Like, that's good. Yeah. Like, that's not a thing. That's a problem. It's just it implies that they don't work as hard as you. We're the underdog. They're the elites. That's what it's what it implies.
I hear that connotation when I hear people talk about, oh, they're paid well. I don't hear like they don't work as hard. All I hear is you're broke.
It's an excuse.
And you want to complain about it.
No. Right. I'm saying when you say that, you're preemptively making an excuse for if we lose this game. Well, we lost because we couldn't pay for as many players. But you know what? Nobody cares about that. Like that's how sports are. So get used to it.
Don't be broke. That's the rule of college football in 2025. Don't be broke. There you go.
SEC game of the week, number 3, Texas A&M at number 22, Missouri, 3:30 Eastern, ABC. Matt Zollers in at quarterback for Missouri with the injured Bro Pribula. Former, what's that?
I just said sure. I mean, Zollers, God bless him.
He's a true freshman, former 4-star guy, like a top 10 quarterback in that last
Pennsylvania
class.
Guy. Mm-hmm.
Dave, what do you think of this?
Missouri has a checkered past with Texas A&M. Last year, that was a butt kicking. They jumped all over them. I mean, it's kind of going to be a gut check for Missouri in a lot of ways. I mean, you're playing with you've got the short straw here. Ahmad Hardy has slowed down. Now, obviously, Kevin Coleman's had a really nice year for them. But now, I mean, you can stack the box even more, make Zollers make a bunch of plays. This is a horrific matchup for Missouri. I think Texas A&M wins and covers here.
A&M also coming off a bye, by the way.
Yep.
So they will have had some extra time. Because remember, last year's game got out of control. I think Missouri had prepared for Marcel Reed, but then Connor Wegman played instead. And then it became kind of a rout pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with A&M as well. Honestly, the 6.5 kind of surprises me.
It feels kind of low. I would put it in like the 10-11 range probably. I just, I think there's some idea of was Pribula that big of a difference for Missouri? And I think yes. I think this is A&M's a favorite by 2-3 points in this game if they have Pribula, and they don't. And I think he's a massive, massive deal.
Yeah, this is a number 3 quarterback for Missouri, by the way, because Horn got hurt.
Kinda. I mean, nobody's actually ever seen Sam Horn play. He's played baseball. He's had a messed up elbow forever. He had the broken leg early in the year. They seem to like him there. He's stuck around. College teammate of Travis Hunter, actually. I went down to Collins Hill a couple of years ago and talked to some of his high school coaches about Sam Horn. But I mean, he hadn't done anything, so it's sort of the number 3, but.
I'm going to go A&M as well.
Mm-hmm.
ACC game of the week, Wake Forest at number 15, I think, Virginia. 7:00 Eastern, ESPN, Virginia, a 6.5-point favorite. They keep getting away with it. They had a pick 6 to put Cal away last week. Otherwise, it was a 3-point game. Wake got destroyed by Florida State last week. I like the fight from Wake Forest this year. I think Florida State was just simply way more talented than them. And I don't know if Virginia is way more talented. I'm going to go Wake Forest covers 6.5 because Virginia hasn't been winning games by multiple scores until Cal pick 6. So I'm taking Wake Forest to cover, but Virginia to win on like a kick return lateral touchdown as time expires.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard if this is a buy low spot on Wake Forest coming off of last week, or if just sort of they've turned into a pumpkin. Because again, we've talked about this a lot on the show, Chris. Like, there was a lot of conversation coming into the season that Wake might be like the worst P4 team. I never really understood it. I was like, I don't know. I had a lot of faith in Jake Dickert. He's used to playing, making more out of less. I kind of think it is a buy low spot. UVA, not exactly dominant. And I wonder too, Chris, like UVA hadn't played a lot of like pressure games where you need to win this thing. You're right on track for the ACC championship. I wonder how that weighs on the program. That's a challenge that I don't think we've seen Tony Elliott have to deal with in like his entire time as a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a different type of challenge. I think Wake, I'm going to go with the buy low here. I think Virginia wins. At the end of the day, they're still at home. Scott Stadium, cool venue. But I'm going to go with Wake to cover. I'm going to go with the buy low here. If Wake loses close or beats Florida State, Wake was an 8.5-point favorite against Florida State last week. If they win that game,
underdog.
Excuse me, 8.5-point underdog. If they lose that game close, this is probably like a 2-point line. So I'm going to take the buy low value on Wake and say last week was an aberration, and that team is the team that we've seen the rest of the season.
Number 2, Indiana at Penn State. Noon Eastern, big noon on Fox. Indiana, a 15.5-point favorite. I'm taking Indiana because every time I don't take Indiana, they blow a team out. And I'm just I'm picking Indiana from now on until they don't cover, because that's just what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. I'm trying to see what their spread record is this year.
They didn't cover the Iowa game because of that late safety where Mendoza ran like 50 yards back to take the safety.
They're 6-3 against the spread this year. So,
but it really should be more like 7-2 if you count the one.
But yeah, give me Indiana. I mean, Penn State, they were like sort of frisky early against Ohio State, but kind of what we thought last week. They just didn't have the horses. Ohio State, we're going to be able to move the ball consistently, and Ohio State just too much ultimately. And the same thing happens here with Indiana.
What I wonder is if your Penn State was like that first half against Ohio State, was that like your last gasp? Was that like the last big swing we got?
Maybe,
3-point game at halftime, and then they run away, and that was ultimately it. But I'm taking Indiana until I have a reason not to take Indiana.
Yeah, so I'm with you.
Navy at Notre Dame, 7:30 Eastern, NBC. Notre Dame, a 25.5-point favorite. Navy was undefeated last week until they lost at North Texas. Notre Dame struggled with Boston College into the fourth quarter before eventually pulling away. I'm taking Notre Dame to cover. It's a lot of points, but it's a lot of points. And remember, last year, Navy turned the ball over like 5 times or something like that in the game. But Marcus Freeman doesn't mess around with these service academy teams. Like, they know what they're doing. They have destroyed Army. They've destroyed Navy, some pretty good teams. They don't mess around. They handle business. Also, Navy actually couldn't stop North Texas's run game last week. I think we're going to have a gigantic day from Jeremiah Love. Notre Dame wins, covers 25.5.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is sort of undervalued for Navy. You mentioned those turnovers last year. That game was a little bit closer than probably it would have seemed without those turnovers. To some degree, Notre Dame sloppy last week against BC. Navy, the loss, of course, coming off of last week, but I think it's too many points. Navy's offense can get things going. This feels like it might be a lot of points in this one. What's the over-under on this game?
Good question.
It's 55.5. So yeah, that's kind of about what I thought. So I kind of like the over in this game, but give me Navy to cover.
What you'd be banking on is Navy has sustained drives that run the clock, and so therefore Notre Dame.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, somewhat, but Navy can hit you with a haymaker from time to time.
They do. Florida State at Clemson, 7 o'clock Eastern, ACC Network. So you know how Clemson and Florida State sued to try to get out, and part of the ACC eventually comes to this new revenue sharing thing where TV ratings are going to play a role in how much money you get. Well, the ACC network is not a rated network. So the Florida State Clemson game is not going to have ratings to like help you. That's how down this game.
Is this game sponsored by Temu? This is like we have Florida State Clemson at home.
You mean Temu, right?
Temu, whatever.
Imagine when Florida State beat Alabama at that moment, what we thought the FSU Clemson game was going to be before Clemson had lost to LSU and what we are now.
I was on Highway Interstate 85 driving to go see Clemson when that game happened. By the way, speaking of Temu, remember when they were calling Diego Pavia Temu Tebow?
Yes, I do.
That he's kind of outpaced that now. He's like,
yes,
he's outgrown that nickname, I think.
Yeah. Clemson is a 2.5 point favorite here.
Ugh, I hate this.
I have not put actual money on this game for either of these teams. Like, Clemson is down. Do they have a big swing back, or at what point do you worry about the team just kind of checking out? You lose to Duke on a very not great pass interference penalty. Dabo was ripping the officiating again this week, calling for transparency. He's correct about that. Can you get back up from a loss like that? And if you're Florida State, did last week's destruction of Wake Forest, ending a 4-game losing streak, like get you back up and get you refocused? Like, whoa, like we are actually a pretty good team here. And now you've got some belief again. Because if you look at the advanced metrics, like Florida State's like a top 25-ish team. They just keep losing a lot of these 1-score games. I'm going to go Florida State wins. I think Clemson is kind of reeling. I think Florida State has some newfound confidence. I'll take the Noles.
I don't know. Florida State's had, I think when we look at the totality of the season, that Wake Forest result, that Alabama result, both involving Florida State, are going to be two of the more confusing games of the season. That just make no sense in the mosaic of the 2025 football season. But I guess I'm going to take Clemson. I've seen that team in person twice. I don't know. These teams are both so hard to figure. We've seen them look so good and so bad that it's like, I think you're going to know after the first quarter how this game's going to go, because one of these teams is going to come out looking horrific and one of them is going to just take advantage. I don't know which one that's going to be, but I'm going to go with Clemson, in part because they're home and in part because they're more talented. I
can see this being a blowout one way or another. Don't know who.
Oh, yeah.
I do think that's very much on the table.
Both of these teams can lose this game by 20 points. No doubt about that.
All right. Now, the game that actually is in that ABC night window, LSU at Alabama, 7:30 Eastern, ABC. Alabama, a 9.5 point favorite. LSU, I believe this is the first game this season under interim head coach Frank Wilson. Yeah, do you get the dead cat bounce? I think you've seen the record for teams that fire their coach covering the spread the next week is pretty good. Now, Penn State was in it for a bit, fell off. They didn't cover last week. Zombie LSU, I don't see it. I think Alabama against a talented team, not going to play down to their competition in this game. Remember, Alabama destroyed LSU last year in Tiger Stadium. I think Kalen DeBoer's got his team ready for this one. I think Alabama covers 9.5.
Yeah, I was at that game actually, and I think you get a similar outcome here. Alabama's I like the toughness of this team. It's not easy for them. I'm curious how this plays out. If you come out to a hot start, but yeah, give me Alabama here.
Number 5, Georgia at Mississippi State, noon Eastern, ESPN, Klanga. Georgia, an 8.5 point favorite. Mississippi State coming off of its first SEC win of the year. This is a team that played Texas close in overtime, took Tennessee to overtime, beat Arizona State. They've been pretty solid all year long. Do they have the belief now coming off of the first win? Georgia's been very up and down, especially on the road.
And especially on defense. I like Mississippi State to take advantage of this defense. Georgia's been pretty susceptible. Mississippi State's got some playmakers out wide. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think Georgia wins this game, but Mississippi State covers and pushes them. I think Mississippi State has a lead in the second half of this game, but can't get it done all the way. Give me Mississippi State to cover.
You know, the Tennessee game, similar type of offense, I think, from what Mississippi State runs. And Mississippi State played that game pretty close. Georgia, Gunnar Stockton, can you get the explosive plays? Can they run the ball? It's kind of been a big question mark. I like Mississippi State covering too. It's like that 11 a.m. kind of sleeper. Could the road team come out a little bit slow? I think Mississippi State can make this a battle. 8.5, more than a touchdown. I'll take Mississippi State to cover that.
Yep.
As well.
They've been tough at home, man. Starkville, like they have had Tennessee on the ropes. They had, I don't know what you'd call what they had. Texas was dead.
They had a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. And then they go to Arkansas and win on the road to snap the, 16, 17 game losing streak. So they've been tough in Starkville. So they do it again.
Group of 5 game of the week. Friday night, Tulane at Memphis, 9:00 Eastern, ESPN. Memphis, a 5.5-point favorite. Tulane coming off of the blowout loss at UTSA. Memphis coming off of a pretty easy win against Rice. Brendan Lewis, the quarterback, I think got hurt in that game, but sounds like he should be okay. Really interesting game. Memphis won this matchup last year. Something Ryan Silverfield is always certain to make sure people remember, that he beat John Summerall. Both coaches kind of could be in the mix for bigger jobs, but it clearly has felt like a distraction around a Tulane team that has not played up to its level consistently. I think the ceiling on this team is really high. They beat Duke, they beat Northwestern, the maximum ability, but they've been so up and down all year. You're coming off of a blowout loss. I think that can kind of wake your guys up, but Memphis at home,
yeah, I
like that. Memphis has been good there. Going to take Memphis to win and cover the 5.5. Now, you know, they were down, they had a 17-0 fourth quarter against USF. So they almost lost that game, came back to win it. I think Memphis is feeling good at home. I'll take Memphis to cover.
There is a world in which Tulane loses this game by 20 again, and that concerns me for all the reasons that you laid out. But I'm going to go with the buy low on Tulane here. I think they cover and win this game outright in the Liberty Bowl.
Can definitely see it. Like that American race can go any which way. I just
Tulane has screamed to me all season. That's the best G5 team. You just got to prove it on the field, and they haven't. They've done that at times, but not really. So
the problem is like they blowout lost to UTSA. Before that, they had to come back and beat Army. Before that, they had to come back and beat East Carolina. It's like, man, like. Can we get back to that team we saw early in the season? Maybe going on the road here, coming off of last week, does it. I don't think John Summerall has claimed that Memphis is piping in crowd noise to piss him off, so that should probably help this time around. Northwestern at USC, Friday night as well, 9:00 Eastern, Fox. USC, a 14.5-point favorite. I'm taking USC here. They're kind of back on a roll again. You got Northwestern flying across country, late game. I'll take USC to win pretty big.
No, I'm going to take Northwestern here. I think they can slow this offense down. USC been a little bit sloppy. Coming off of last week, you wonder about sort of a trap spot here. I'm going to take Northwestern to cover. I think this game's closer than people think.
Just interesting. The aforementioned UTSA traveling to South Florida. Thursday night is this game. 7:30 Eastern, ESPN Thursday. USF, 14.5-point favorite. This is another game I would not touch with real money. Like, has UTSA figured it out? Like, did that game last week, like, reawaken what they is? Where was that Owen McCown all year, the quarterback? You know, and USF, coming off of a bye, I think, after the Memphis loss. USF's at home where they've been very good. What do you think?
Yeah, UTSA has been tough to figure. I think we've been wanting to buy in on them all year. South Florida certainly has put more tape together that makes sense. Last week was the first time we've kind of seen UTSA sort of pop, but it's too many points here. I think you're going to see a really high scoring game. I think the final score here is going to be very funny. I could see this being like a 57-48 situation. But give me UTSA to cover. What's the total points? 67.5 is the over under in this game.
We're going to get back to that. Yeah, that game's coming up again in a minute in the show. Yeah, for a high scoring game, Robert Henry, the running back at UTSA, really good. He had kind of struggled the last couple of weeks, but then had a huge game against Tulane, looked really explosive. I think UTSA covers. I think they can win this game too.
Yeah, they definitely can.
Mountain West, San Diego State at Hawaii, 11 o'clock Eastern. Mountain West app, if you're on the mainland. This is your Hawaii test. San Diego State, 6.5-point favorite. The Aztecs are 7-1 on the year, and they have really gotten it rolling. They have won all their Mountain West
why
games.
is no one talking about San Diego State? Like, I feel like they've been completely irrelevant all year.
Because one, they generally weren't. Their offense made them tough to follow. They weren't great last year. Ugly games, in the years before that. And they lost to Washington State pretty handedly. But I talked to Sean Lewis, the head coach there, a year ago at Media Days. I was like, how has the transition been going from what they used to run to what you like to run? And he told me it always takes until midway through the second year before it finally starts to click. And guess what's happened? Midway through the second part of the year, second year, it has started to click in a big way. And I think they've got it figured out. They're rolling. I'm going to go San Diego State to win this game. Because I think the Aztecs are. I've wondered, like, is Sean Lewis, could he be coaching his way into UCLA consideration at some point here?
I wonder. Maybe he can go fix Colorado's offense in his spare time.
So I saw Pat Shurmur got demoted, right, as OC.
I believe so. I don't think we
play calling or something like that is what they said. So Sean Lewis,
Deion, nobody knows what the coaches actually do on their. Like, they have 3 offensive line coaches, 3 defensive line coaches. Nobody actually knows what anybody does. Like, okay, we're not. We can't get sidetracked by Colorado.
Yeah, Sean Lewis is feeling very good about where he is now.
I think so. Yeah, we're seeing it click. I like them to win this game and cover.
One note about Hawaii. You remember their kicker, Kansei Matsuzawa, week 0, kicks the winner over Stanford, and everybody's like, oh, they learn, it's this guy taught himself football and English on YouTube and came over to America. I wrote a story about it. He is 21 for 21 on field goals for the year. He is looking like maybe the best kicker in the country. Nobody has ever made more than 21 field goals. No one has ever made all of their field goals 21 or more in a full season ever. Like, if he makes one more and doesn't miss the rest of the year, that would be a new record. So really cool that, like, he's turned into a really good player. If you stay up for the if you stay up for the Hawaii game, keep an eye on the kicker. And I'll link to my story in the show notes as well. All right, FCS game of the week, as was requested by a listener a while ago. So we're trying to add this to the picks. Mercer, 7-1 at Western Carolina, 6-3. This game's pretty much for the SoCon, the Southern Conference. It looks like. I'm going to drop the stat on you. You remember a couple weeks ago, Taron Dickens, quarterback at Western Carolina, completed like 40-something straight passes in a row?
I believe that's right, yes.
So Western Carolina, since he took over at quarterback, is 6-0. He is completing 77% of his passes, 9.7 yards per attempt, 26 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
I need to know more about what happened in preseason camp there.
I know. Like, they have been on a roll since he took over. Kerwin Bell is the head coach there, former Florida player and all that stuff. Taron Dickens, I think I'm saying the name right. I don't know if it's Taron or Taron. This is a name it feels like this guy's going to be at an FBS school next year. Yeah. Perhaps with his coach. Like, Kerwin Bell could get a job. Like, people, we've been asked, like, who is the next Kurt Signetti? It might be Kerwin Bell. He won a championship at Valdosta State. He's brought Western Carolina back up to be a pretty good team. And he could say, like, hey, I got a quarterback to bring with me too. So Dickens is lighting it up for Western Carolina here against Mercer. I'm going to take Western Carolina over Mercer.
I would like to apologize to our listeners for not keeping my hand on the pulse of the Western Carolina preseason quarterback competition. I have so many questions, but I will say, Chris, did you know that my wife actually started her college career at Mercer and then hit the portal and went to the music program at Belmont, which was her dream for a long time. So I got to stick with Mercer. She didn't love it there, but I'll stick with Mercer. Let's go Bears.
Mercer, their coach as well, Mike Jacobs, another like potential Kurt Signetti type. He's in his 40s. He's won at Notre Dame of Ohio, Lenore-Rhine, and now at Mercer. Good coach. He's won everywhere he's been. Two really good coaches this game. I always remember with Western Carolina, remember the old NCAA football games when they had the FCS teams and they'd have the flag and the logo and the
like I don't think I had an appreciation for the FCS when I was like really
But-
young. Like I did probably for like the CUSA and stuff, but I don't remember the times when they've had these teams in NCAA. Like I don't remember.
But do you remember the logo that was just like eyes and whiskers and it just said the Cats?
No, I wish I did. I need to go see this.
That's Western Carolina. They put it on a helmet a while back too. I always remember them for that. So that's
the
our
Broadway
FCS
play
pick.
did not send them a cease and desist. Do I have that right?
All right. Highest over under of the weekend, 67.5. We talked about it with UTSA USF. It's also the case for Air Force and San Jose State. Yes,
Air Force is scoring this year. Air Force is very fun to watch. They are messy, and they are one of the more entertaining teams in the country this year.
I think they have like 2 wins, but they've played in a lot of interesting and close games. I'm going to say both go over.
Yeah, UTSA USF absolutely going over. The service academies are always tough because you can get those sustained drives and maybe they go for it on 4th and 3 and don't get it. And you have this 8-minute drive that produces no points. But San Jose State likes to throw it around. Eget, very fun quarterback. I think that goes over, but I'm going to say under just for the sake of being contrarian.
Remember last year how San Jose State had Nick Nash, the receiver who led the country in every stat?
Mm-hmm.
They've got another one this year. Danny Scudero, sophomore, leads the country with 1,085 receiving yards. He's second with 10 touchdowns, and he is 4th in catches with 63. They like to do that run and shoot offense. They throw it around a lot there. Danny Scudero is the new San Jose State wide receiver. Okay. And with that, we will end this show the way we always do, and that is by remembering some
we
guys.
forgot the lowest over-under, Chris.
Oh, wait.
I have a question.
Yes. By the way, it's
Oregon and Iowa, 40.5.
We already talked about it.
I don't know how we can find this data. We probably can't. Is this the lowest over-under that Oregon has participated in since like the Bellotti era?
Good question. I mean, they were bad. Like they were bad a couple of years, like not that long
I know,
ago.
but 40 is low, and they've been up-tempo, been scoring for 15 years. I'm maybe the listener can look it up, and I have to think this is the lowest over-under for an Oregon game in decades.
And it's got the weather as well, potentially rainy and
Yes.
stuff.
You add all that stuff together, you just don't see Oregon in the 40s hardly ever, much less at 40.5.
You going under?
No. It's ugly. Iowa's offense is better than people think. Oregon's defense not great. I think Oregon's still going to play with some pace. Ultimately, pace decides a lot of these. Like USF, they're going to go super, super fast all the time. That's why their scores are so high. They do have a good offense, but the pace is a lot of it. So I'm going to say this goes over just because Iowa's more competent than people think, and Oregon's still going to want to go kind of fast.
I think they hit the over as well. Okay, now for real this time, we're going to end the show the way we always do, and that is by remembering some guys.
It's better than this. Guys being dudes.
I'm going to go with somebody we actually mentioned on the show already. Former Texas Tech quarterback Graham Harrell. He was the quarterback on that team.
COC now? Where he's an OC for
I'll tell you in a second. I've got the notes here.
Okay.
He was the Texas Tech quarterback in the mid 2000s. He's actually is he in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, he's in the College Football Hall of Fame. I think that actually just happened pretty recently. Bounced around coaching at a number of places. He's now the offensive coordinator at Abilene Christian. So there you go. We'll always remember that the Texas Tech game in 2008. 2008, I think it was. Great moment.
No, that was 2000. Yeah, it was 2008. That
Yeah.
was 2008 because that was the 45-35 Texas-Oklahoma year. Maybe the best Red River of all time. Shout out to Jordan Shipley. He went off in that game. By the way, I will say, Chris, I was at the Oklahoma-Tennessee game on Saturday, and after the game, I witnessed DeMarco Murray and Josh Heupel dap each other up, and I was transported back to another lifetime. I felt like I was 22 years old again, like covering Oklahoma with quarterbacks coach Josh Heupel and star running back DeMarco Murray, electric player. He's not my remember some guy, so I guess I'm going to break your rule and remember more
You're
guys.
just naming all kinds of guys here.
DeMarco, I mean, he was like the second coming of Adrian Peterson, and for a while there, he was much more upright runner, but great player, and now in coaching, obviously back at his alma mater. But I saw that moment on the field, and I was like, whoa, like I very vividly have spent a good amount of time with those two people in my life. So anyway, I remember some guys, Chris. I have another vivid memory, and it is of a quarterback competition in the post-Michael Leach era at Texas Tech after he was unceremoniously ushered out for leaving Adam James in a – they called it a closet. That's where they host their post-game press conference. I've been in the Texas Tech infamous closet. Like, that's where they do their post. Anyway.
Oh, you have? Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, I've been in there
I've not been to Tech before.
Okay, well, it's fine. It's anyway, it's right off of the field. All that to say, I distinctly remember that a current U.S. Senator brought his guys to Big 12 Media Days, one Tommy Tuberville, and that was Sticks Sheffield and Taylor Potts, two guys that played a lot of football. And Tech fans were very excited because they were tired of Mike Leach and his crumpled khakis and his wrinkled polo shirt when he'd show up and sort of mumble some off-topic stuff at media days that was usually pretty entertaining. And Tommy Tuberville comes in with his three-piece suit, and his players are all suited up, which is kind of a big deal in the pre-NIL era. They have their little Texas Tech pins, and then they sucked on the field, and people didn't really care anymore. But those two guys were pretty fun, and they were good players. Lyle Leong had some good years out there. Like Texas Tech after the Mike Leach era was not obviously have not been good, but they have been fun. And now they're like a little bit less fun. They're a little bit more like going to punch you in the face and you're not going to love it. Like this team isn't as fun as some of those old Texas Tech teams, but obviously they're a lot better. But we've just been thinking a lot about Texas Tech this week. And I very vividly remember Sticks Sheffield, who got that nickname because he was extremely skinny, and Taylor Potts with his like long sleeves. We don't have a lot of quarterbacks with the floppy sleeves. He had the Aaron Rodgers Texas Tech sleeves with the strap across the top. Anyway, fun era of Texas Tech football. They were not good, but they were very fun. And I remember people were very excited about classing up the program as they got worse on the field. So be careful what you wish for, people.
I weirdly do not remember those guys at all. And they were the ones who replaced Graham Harrell. So we just happened to pick those three people. You had to pick multiple people again, but all right. Nomination from
Sticks and Potts were just a great nickname. Like Sticks was a nickname, Potts was his actual name, but just like, Graham Harrell's gone. We got old Sticks and Potts out here going head to head.
It would have been better if like they were throwing to each, like Sticks to Potts, was a thing instead. They're both quarterbacks, so it wasn't that.
Pretty good players, not great, certainly not to the Graham Harrell level, but like they were okay.
Remember some guys' nomination from listener Sam Callan, who said, every time you do the segment, I think of my favorite college player of all time, but it's going back a ways since I'm a bit older than you. That is Terry Hoge. I should know this. Terry Hoge, Georgia defensive back. College Football Hall of Fame, two-time All-American, two-time SEC Defensive Player of the Year, fifth in the Heisman voting in 1983, Walter Camp All-Century team, played in the NFL for 13 seasons, and then started a vineyard.
As one does.
Good for him. That's before our time, but that's why we like listeners remembering their own guys. We can't all pick everybody from the same time period, so keep those.
I don't remember that guy, to be fair. So
I know the name, and he's obviously incredibly accomplished. It's just before our time. So that's why send your nominations to bunchformationpod@gmail.com. We have a couple more on the list, but always keep that list updating. We get more feedback on this segment than anything else on the show, and that's because we want you to be involved. So we like it.
Sticks and Pots, baby. Sticks and Pots.
All right, David, are you going anywhere this weekend?
I think we're gonna have some after dark, Chris. I'm at home.
Are we?
Are you
We
also
should
at
have.
home?
We should have
Yeah.
talked about this before at the beginning of the show and not the end of the show.
Well,
because
it's
now
been a
people aren't
busy
gonna hear
day.
it.
I've been writing all day. We got like this has been a busy week for me. So
Yeah.
but after dark we'll be there.
I will be at home. You will be at home. So at the end of the night games, which is Notre Dame, Navy, could be a blowout. LSU, Alabama, could also be a blowout. We'll see. We'll plan to do it at the end of the 7:30, 8 o'clock games, whatever those are.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch Formation YouTube channel. We will do that live. We'll keep doing the playoff rankings live as well on Tuesdays. And go listen to that previous episode if you haven't, if you want our takes on the actual playoff rankings. So that's going to do it here. For David Ubben, I am Chris Vannini. We will talk to you on Saturday night.
And I'll be bringing back the turnover chain. We'll see if Miami does.